तो फ्रेंड्स, क्या हाल है दोस्तों। आज मैं इस इंटरव्यू में बात कर रहा हूं एक कंटेम्प्रेरी मिलिट्री हिस्टोरियन के साथ, शिव कुणाल वर्मा, एंड वी आर डिस्कसिंग दिस बुक, लाइफ ऑफ ए हिंदुस्तानी 6 डिग्री सेपरेशन। वैसे ये उनकी ऑटोबायोग्राफिकल बुक है, बट दिस कवर्स हिस्ट्री ऑफ मॉडर्न इंडिया. It covers starts with assassination of Mrs. Indira Gandhi in 1984 when he was a young journalist with Associated Press. So immensely readable book, very fast paced. So we have in this conversation with Shiv Kunal Verma, I am talking about this book and otherwise. इससे पहले he wrote this amazing book 1962 war. If you don't read this book, you won't understand the war. And then I think the best book on 1965 war written by him. So he's a military historian of name and fame. Plus he has covered the entire Northeast in the Northeast trilogy that he has written. He's crisscrossed the nation, Northeast, Ladakh, all parts of the country. He has shot with the Air Force, with the Army, with Navy. So in this, as a military kid, he describes his life with his father and then जिंदगी में उनके साथ क्या क्या होता है जैसे जैसे देश जो है प्रोग्रेस करता है. सो I would recommend this book to everyone who has interest in how India evolved in last 40 to 50 years. So watch this interview and give me a feedback below this if you have any questions for the author, and maybe one day I'll get him for a live interaction with you all. Thank you. Jai Hind. Hi, Shiv Kunal Verma. What a pleasure to see you this morning. I am so lucky to have got a copy of this amazing book. Amazing book. और इससे पहले मैंने आपकी 2 किताबों के बारे में आपसे इंटरव्यू किया है. मैं आपका बहुत बड़ा फैन हूं. मैंने 1962, 1965 दोनों किताबें पढ़ी हैं और बहुत रिकमेंड करता हूं. एंड नाउ टू गेट होल्ड ऑफ दिस अमेजिंग बुक. तो जरा मुझे बताओ इस किताब में क्या है और क्यों ये किताब मेरी जनरेशन को और मेरी यंग जनरेशन जो मुझे फॉलो करते हैं क्यों पढ़ें इस किताब को.
General Saab, firstly, it is always a pleasure to be with you. You've been with us on our military history sessions in Vellum Boys also, etc. And it is all your enthusiasm is something which I think carries a lot of zest, and I think all your students have been following some of your programs, listening in, and it's always a pleasure to be with you, sir. Yes, sir. Actually, है तो autobiography at a basic level, और थोड़ी एक्साइटेड. पहले हमने एक और ऑटोबायोग्राफी भी लिखी थी, करेज एंड कन्विक्शन, जनरल वीके सिंह के साथ. सो आई न्यू व्हाट इट इन्वॉल्व्स. But the reason why I have written this is because I've been very fortunate. I am a child of the 1960s. I was born into two Rajput. I was a baby in Teju, which was the battalion rear. रामकाचू तो हमारे लिए तो बिल्कुल ऐसा झटका लगा था कि क्या पूछे. हमारे जो 281 आदमी मारे गए थे वो तो हमारी फैमिली थी, लिटरली. Which only people in the army will understand how it actually just rips your soul apart. Even though I was a baby, 2-year-old, I grew up in that atmosphere. So I've been working, and I've been very fortunate, sir. I mean, my career graph itself, I worked with the Air Force, with the Navy, with the Army. मैं उसके पहले बिट्टू सहगल के साथ पूरी वाइल्ड लाइफ सीरीज की है. उसके पहले टाइगर टॉप्स पे पूरा लद्दाख वदाख ओपनिंग एंड ऑल दैट. A lot of it is got to do with my own fact that I was born into the army. Secondly, also I was very fortunate to go to an institution like the Doon School later, sir. In my formative years, I was born in Dehradun. Our Doon School gives you a kind of a very solid educational platform.
Yes.
And it really links you to the, you see, a lot of people think these are elitist schools or ye hai wo hai. Actually, the truth is quite opposite for some of us. Some of them can, wo apna hai, apna, unka, I mean, every yardstick, it's not all one size fits all, but I can talk for all my batchmates and everything. They're very grounded people, and you know, it links you to the soul of this country. So I have reaped those benefits, and this book is actually a product of that. It was basically my publisher Pankaj Singh of the Browser, Blue One Ink में थे, and उन्होंने कहा कि इसको करिए, और they decided to support the book. Book is doing very well. It was launched at the Jaipur Lit Fest in Pondicherry, various places. It has already got some fantastic reviews. People are saying that it's virtually a different genre. It's not even very critics have been very kind. So, and the book is very fast paced because it actually runs through all
नहीं,
kinds of
ये
things.
मैं आपकी ना, मैंने आपने जो भी लिखा है उसमें पेस बहुत है। मतलब ये आर्मी का आपके खून में वो है इसलिए है, या और योर कमांड ओवर द लैंग्वेज, इट इज फास्ट पेस्ड
I
एंड
also
इट
got to
रीड्स
be Air
लाइक अ
Force.
फिक्शन, तभी मजा आता है। नहीं तो क्या होता है, हम बोर हो जाते हैं जब लंबी लंबी कहानियां शुरू होती हैं। बट आपकी 62 की किताब, 65 की, एंड नाउ नाउ दिस बुक ऑल्सो, आई कैन सी दैट पेस। मतलब इट रीड्स लाइक फिक्शन। सही बातें आप बता रहे हो हिस्टोरिकल एनेक्डोट के साथ, बट इट रीड्स लाइक फिक्शन। पढ़ने का मन करता आगे क्या होगा।
Well, so long as you don't think it is fiction, it's okay. Yeah, it's a very fast moving book because also the fact that there's two chapters on the Air Force. I've got over 350 fighter sorties. I've been, as I said, मेरे सिर पे किसी का हाथ है और बहुत ही ज्यादा I've been very lucky. I have operated with the Army, Air Force, Navy. I've had to work with some of the top names in Indian conservation. Uh,
एब्सोल्युटली, वाइल्ड लाइफ कंजर्वेशन। यू शॉट द 1999 कारगिल वॉर। आपने
I shot
एनडीए पे जो आपने पिक्चर बनाई वैसी पिक्चर नहीं बनी दोबारा।
तो सर वो सब यू आर लकी टू बी गिवन दोस काइंड ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटीज। अब जब कारगिल की लड़ाई हुई थी, आई ऑफर्ड टू गो अप दैट टाइम एंड बिकॉज आई हैड बीन फिल्मिंग विद द आर्म फोर्सेस। मेरे को नोबडी पेड मी नथिंग, आई जस्ट वेंट एंड आई फिल्म्ड इट। एंड देन जब फिल्म बनी थी तो फिर वो बाद में बिल क्लिंटन को भी हम ही ने दिखाई थी। इट हैड अ वेरी ग्लोबल इम्पैक्ट। So, uske baad, we've done a lot of work in the Northeast. We did the Northeast trilogy. We've been working on all kinds of things. So, different things have also been. I don't like getting stuck with one particular thing, sir. So, my idea of relaxing is if I'm working on the 65 book और वो थोड़ा थक गए तो जाके चलो वाइल्ड लाइफ पे काम करते हैं। पर काम करना, वो इनर्शिया नहीं आना उसमें, just keep at it and keep moving, sir.
हम्म।
It's such a wonderfully beautiful country, sir. So, and I think a lot of that comes out in the in Hindustani. The title itself speaks for itself.
तो ये जो आपने लिखा लाइफ ऑफ ए हिंदुस्तानी, वो तो समझ गया आप और मैं हिंदुस्तानी हैं, और हम ये जिंदगी ये जिए हैं हमने पिछले
और वो वैसे
40-50, सौ बिल्कुल क्लियर है। 6 डिग्री
गिर गया।
सेपरेशन का क्या मतलब है।
पहले तो हिंदुस्तानी में एज गिर गया, किसी ने हमको कमेंट डाला फेसबुक पे कि ये बड़ी खराब किताब है, जैसे एडिटिंग में इन्होंने एज भी गिरा दिया है। बट तो हम क्या कर, सर 6 डिग्रीज ऑफ सेपरेशन, बिकॉज इसमें क्या होता है सर, स्पेशली इन द आर्म फोर्सेस, एवरीथिंग इज इंटरलिंक्ड।
हम्म।
मैं आपसे अभी मिल रहा हूँ, अभी बात कर रहा हूँ, लेकिन हम पहले भी मिले हैं, या आपकी पलटन आप गार्ड्स में हो, कभी तीतर मारने गए या कुछ करने गए, जब उन जमाने में जब शिकार होता था आपसे, आप सेकंड लेफ्टिनेंट होंगे, कैप्टन होंगे, ये सब घड़ी घड़ी हम लोगों की एक वो है। इट इज आर गुड फॉर्च्यून दैट वी टेंड टू कीप bumping into each other. But that 6 degrees of separation, because I find everybody is kind of interlinked with each other. And वो घड़ी घड़ी वो it all plays a role, sir. Because like I'm talking to you now, इसका कोई ना कोई something will happen which is, and my life has always been like that. I mean, it has just led from one thing to the other, and people have played a very important role in it.
ओके, तो जस्ट टेल मी नाउ दैट why should young generation read this book? If I'm telling them I want to hear from you, military historian and author, so well traveled in northeast and north of India, these two places, though you really traveled so much, तो ये किताब क्यों पढ़नी चाहिए? Why should you read this book?
हमने तो कुछ नहीं छोड़ा है सर, साउथ इंडिया पे, तमिलनाडु पे भी की हुई है किताबें, और
हाँ, आई नो।
राइफल्स पे भी की हुई हैं। Actually, I've been very lucky, as I said, Project Tiger allowed me to shoot all over the country, and it was गाड़ी लेके चल पड़े। We used to often sometimes even sleep below the gypsy की गर्म थोड़ी गर्माए, get a bit of heat. It is absolutely fantastic. Why people should actually read this book? I think the younger generation must know what kind of opportunities actually exist in this country. You don't have to get stereotyped. Now, my father was a general like you, and I had a 1 point. He had a one point advice for joining your career graph. He said, join the army or go to hell. I mean, अब उनका, I still remember डाइनिंग टेबल में बैठे हुए थे, मैंने कहा कि मैंने एक दिन ऐसे गलती से बोल दिया, I want to join the merchant navy. He says, what for? So I said, they pay much better than the army. हाँ, what a stinking look I got. उसके बाद तो मैं मर्चेंट नेवी क्या, मैं तो किसी चीज की बात ही नहीं करता था। But I was very lucky again. In Doon School, I was taught by some very fine masters. And one of them was a gentleman was Krishna Kumar Kandit, who has also recently written a wonderful book called All Stray Dogs Go to Heaven. In fact,
Oh,
both these books have been published together by the same publisher. He's a wonderful
great.
chap. He lives in Colombia. People like him, people like Mr. R.P. Devgan, etc. We in our generation in Doon School, we were blessed to be taught by people like him. Mr. Gurdial Singh, who would have been the first Indian to climb Everest, but he unclipped his oxygen tanks and gave them to Ahluwalia 200 meters below the summit of Everest and said, "आप चढ़िए, आप first summit party है." तो इन किस्म के लोगों ने हमारे हमारे ये गुरु है, and they are the people who have taught us what life is all about. This book actually takes you by the scruff of your neck, and it starts with the riots in 1984, which was a very dark.
यस एग्जैक्टली, मैं वही पढ़ रहा था। वो रॉयट्स हमारे भी जहन में 84 के अभी भी क्लियरली विजिबल हैं। सो या गो ऑन।
It was a very dark period, and at that period, I had just moved down from Ladakh. My initial job was in Ladakh, so I was opening up all those areas. तो क्या हुआ कि मैं फौज इसलिए नहीं गया क्योंकि के सर सेट कि तुम एक बारी जरा मद्रास क्रिश्चियन कॉलेज देखाओ जरा साउथ में। तो हम वहां पहुंच गए, और जब हम जा रहे थे, माय डैड वाज इन स्टाफ कॉलेज, माय मदर सेड तुम कोई भी कॉलेज ज्वाइन कर लो पर वहां नहीं जाना। तो the rebel and we went there, it changed your life. So that is all part of the serendipity of how things happen. So after I had a 2-year stint with Tiger Tops in Ladakh, where I had the privilege of opening up some of the routes into Ladakh at that time, which are now all the tourism companies are using. अभी भी मेरे नक्शे यूज कर रहे हैं।
अरे वाह।
तो उसके बाद जब मैं नीचे आया तो I was again lucky. I literally walked into India Today. India Today that time was a very powerful magazine.
यस इट वाज द ओनली मैगजीन, वेट करते थे उसकी पब्लिश हो और खरीद लो उसको।
अरे सर, हम जब फ्लाइट पे जाते थे, हम 22-23 साल के तो लड़के थे, और वहां पे पायलट अनाउंस कर रहा है, वी हैव द प्लेजर ऑफ सो एंड सो फ्लाइंग विद, आई मीन लगता भी है कि कुछ है। And then I moved on to Associated Press shortly after that, which was a wonderful experience. Again, American organization, very different. And I had a chief of bureau called Victoria Graham. She said, you do what you want. You don't have to be a wire service guy. Don't try and mold yourself. तुमको वाइल्ड लाइफ पे लिखना है, तुम वाइल्ड लाइफ पे लिखो, तुमको जिस पे लिखना है, आई लाइक योर स्टाइल ऑफ राइटिंग, यू गो. So I did stories on man-eating in Sundarbans. I was involved in the man-eating wolves of Hazaribagh. In fact, I shot some of them. Shot them not with the camera. We actually killed them. No. Yeah, it's all in the book. So the outbreak of man-eating in Hazaribagh was a 50-year phenomena when we went through the gazetteers. And by the time we got involved, they 70 बच्चे मार दिए थे सर. That killed about 70 kids. So, and वहाँ पे फिर वो politics वगैरह शुरू हो गई, उसकी compensation ये वो. So there was a shikari. I teamed up with him and we actually shot those wolves. All the details are there in the book. So I was given a virtual carte blanche, and then उसके बाद Bittu Sehgal आए Bombay से. He's one of the biggest names in conservation. He asked me to shoot Project Tiger. डायरेक्ट प्रोजेक्ट आएगा. पहले तो मैं डायरेक्शन के लिए गया था, मैंने कोई आइडिया नहीं था कि मूवी कैमरा कैसे चलता है. और जो कैमरामैन आए थे वो सब फिल्म इंस्टीट्यूट वाले थे. दे वर वंडरफुल पीपल. देयर एक्सपर्टीज वाज वंडरफुल, बट दे हैड नो आइडिया अबाउट द आउटडोर्स, एंड उनका दे वर एट सी. तो बिट्टू सेट कि भैया तुम शूट करो. तो जो एक रील हमारी जो 400 फुट की होती थी, 25,000 रुपए की आती थी उस टाइम. 25,000 उसका प्रोसेसिंग था. इवन इफ आई शॉट रबिश, तो 50,000 रुपए, आई एम टॉकिंग 1986. So to be given, I remember I was leaving for Sundarbans. The cameraman didn't turn up, a fellow called Prashant Desai, last minute पे. तो कमल हसन भी था कमरे में बैठा हुआ, और वो बिट्टू कहता है कि तुम जाओ. मैंने कहा सर मैं जाऊं तो मेरे तो आई डोंट नो हाउ टू शूट. He says you go, and there was absolute panic. So I actually drove for the first time. I was driving in Bombay. उसी की Land Rover लेके I dropped Kamal Hassan at Bandra, सड़क पे खड़ा कर दिया. I landed up at the airport, jumped into it, went there, went to Sundarbans. I had no idea how to use a camera. And actually, I shot rubbish. Because I shot very good stuff, but it was rubbish in technically. It was stops over and all that. अब सब मेरी खुशकिस्मती है कि उन दिनों में वीडियो नहीं था, नहीं तो बिट्टू सहगल ने तो उस दिन मुझे मार देना था, क्योंकि जब ये 6 रोल डेवलप होके आए हैं, दे वर अनयूजेबल. And he was pulling his hair out. इसने क्या कर दिया है ये वो. So उसके साथ there was the girl who edited Project Tiger was Dipti Balla. Later we got married and we did a lot of we did everything together. But she told Bittu कि you're not looking at the angles. This guy knows, at least he knows what he's doing. एंड देन बिट्टू ड्रॉप्ड अ बॉम्बशेल, इसने कहा इसके पास तो लाइट मीटर भी नहीं है। तो उसने कहा कि जो जो लोगों को 4 साल में सिखाते हैं, यू एक्सपेक्ट हिम टू नो। तो बड़े सेरेमोनियसली आई वाज गिवन अ लाइट मीटर बाय बिट्टू एंड देन सेंट ऑफ टू पालामाऊ इन बिहार। और हम वहां पहुंचे तो हम जब सामान लोड कर रहे थे बोट में, लाइट मीटर पानी में गिर गया। तो गेट बैक टू स्क्वायर। सो इट वाज, our life was great fun, sir, but we managed to deliver. And we, so for why should people read it? I mean, it's opening up, it's giving you a glimpse into a world which I don't think too many people have been privy to, sir. Air
सो
Force.
हाँ, सो वही मैं कह रहा था कि मतलब राइट फ्रॉम सेवेंटीज और फ्रॉम फ्रॉम दैट टाइम आपने 62 यू रिटन सो मच, नाम का चू, बेस्ड ऑन स्टोरी ऑफ टू राजपूत एंड इंडियन आर्मी, बट दिस बुक स्पेसिफिकली इज योर ऑटोबायोग्राफी। सो कौन कौन सी इवेंट्स हैं आपकी लाइफ में, इफ यू कैन जस्ट टेल मी दीज आर द इंपॉर्टेंट इवेंट्स, जो कि अदरवाइज लोगों को आजकल जो है ना, they don't know the true picture. They don't know the true picture, right? Say Indira Gandhi's assassination, yeah, or so. Which are these events which you have covered in the book?
It starts with the Indira Gandhi assassination. Then I also covered Punjab a lot after that, including there were various aspects of Punjab which one was involved with. The 1980s were 84 was a particularly bad year, if you remember, sir.
Yeah, I remember Indira Gandhi,
So
Siachen Glacier.
Siachen ka conflict started
Hmm.
partly because of the map that I got. Though Colonel Bull Kumar had also got a map from a German tourist, but I got the USAF maps. And again, 6 degrees of separation. My father happened to be commanding the Ladakh division. I showed the brigade, 70 Brigade. I showed him the maps. He took them across. Eventually, Mrs. Gandhi saw those maps. And that's what led to the second Siachen expedition and then the subsequent conflict. Siachen is very much there. And then Siachen again refigures because in 2005, there was a move, as you're aware, that
Yeah,
wanted to give away Siachen. I
to,
mean,
to demilitarize it. I won't say give away.
sir,
It
give
was
away था, sir. पढ़ लीजिए पूरी story. It is actually,
okay.
it
ठीक है,
was a
I will.
giveaway.
Yeah.
Demilitarization is the cover they were giving it, and then everybody was involved, including the PMO and all. उसमें काफी झगड़ा हुआ है. The details are all there, and what actually happened. Uh, so Siachen is a part of the books. The Sikh riots. Then again in Kashmir, so I did a lot of filming in Kashmir. Having opened up for Tiger Tops and having lived in the valley as well as in Ladakh. And then, of course, covering it as a journalist also for a while. Though I don't see myself as a journalist. My stint as a journalist was very short. And then I got into filmmaking. So filmmaking gave me a tremendous platform. It showed you areas. I mean, South India, Central India, Western India. There isn't a single part of this country which I cannot call home. I've also lived there. My dad was posted in Wellington. Staff College became home. I mean, he was a DS during those 3 critical years of one's life. Then you have, again, Air Force का भी जो हमारा जो period हुआ सर उसमें we were blessed because a person like J.R.D. Tata agreed to fund the film, and Nimi Suri was the head chief. He says, Kunal, तुम करो जो करना है. I will give you whatever support you want. मेरे से पैसे मत मांगना. और पैसे हमको JRD ने दे दिए. तो सर वो तो कहते हैं ना, वो इस इफ्तफाक, आई मीन, वो दोनों हाथ ऊपर करो, दुआ कहीं ना कहीं से आपकी लगेगी. तो हो गया हमारे साथ. I
So
was
you're lucky in a way. मैं अगर आप एक तो being born into Rajput to a very illustrious father, we all have heard his name, जनरल वर्मा के बारे में. एंड देन आपकी लाइफ में फिर कुछ अपॉर्चुनिटीज आपने ली दून स्कूल के बाद, जैसे आप कह रहे हो आप वाइल्ड लाइफ में चले गए, कंजर्वेशन में चले गए, फिर एयरफोर्स के साथ आपने काम किया, फिर सियाचिन में काम किया, फिर साउथ इंडिया में आपने यू इन ऑल ओवर.
Navy also, sir. I had a very long stint with the
अच्छा.
Navy. I mean, I've done all their major films. In fact, we shot a lot with the Navy. And then Army का भी जब shooting शुरू हुई, sir. For example, I had even been sent across. I went and filmed with the Hizbul Mujahideen and all that. I came back with some very interesting footage which actually changed the perception of what was actually happening in the valley.
अच्छा.
So one was my elder daughter was just born. I hadn't even seen her. I just seen her in Bombay. I'd come back and immediately I was in the valley for the next 34 days. अब हमारी अपनी प्राइवेट लड़ाई चल रही थी वहां पे. आप क्या करोगे? यू नो द सिचुएशन इन द वैली. यू गेट सक्ड.
ये कौन से साल की बात है?
95 सर, 95.
95.
I was actually asked.
95 बड़ा क्रूशियल ईयर है 95 बहुत क्रूशियल ईयर है इंसर्जेंसी की लड़ाई में। मैं हमेशा कहता हूँ 89 90 जब शुरू हुआ, 95 देन 2002। मेरी जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, यू आर ऑफ कोर्स यू सी इट मोर फ्रॉम हिस्टोरिकल पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, तो 95 में क्या सिचुएशन थी वैली में जब?
So, एक तो हम we were having dinner with the chief wildlife warden in 89, my wife and I, Dipti and I, when the first bomb went off at TRC. वो पूरा bloody dham, everything bloody shook. And we knew somehow we knew there's going to be a major problem. In fact, Mr. Jagmohan was that time the governor, and I had actually met him because there were some other problems going on. 95 में जब मैं गया हूँ, sir, at that time the situation in the valley was very, very grim, as you know. The army was fully stretched. And I spent 34 days in the valley filming with them. So, in fact, the moment I landed in Srinagar, I had a QRT which was allotted to me, and we were driving through Patan. We came under fire in Patan itself. My QRT my vehicle took a few hits, and I had a very wonderful guy from 15 Rajput, Deen Mohammed. He had been with my father, and then he was my assistant. He was with me, and he was covering my back. You know how it is, and I was covering his, because in this entire environment, you have to protect yourself. There is nobody who's going to actually help you at that moment.
Yeah.
So एक तरफ AK-47 रखी हुई थी, एक तरफ कैमरास थे. So it was quite a situation. Then the Hizbul Mujahideen का जो leadership था, they wanted to actually, they were surrendering to the Indian Army, and they offered to take me across and allow. So the chief of staff that time, I think his name was General Lakhera or something. So he knew my dad very well. So he said, "Kunal, तुम जाओगे?" मैंने कहा, सर चले जाते हैं, क्या है, मेरे पास एसोसिएटेड प्रेस का पुराना कार्ड था. So 5 days I spent with these guys, so, and we came back with some incredible footage.
और ये कौन सी जगह पे आपने 5 दिन हिजबुल मुजाहिदीन के साथ गुजारे?
So there's a place called Sambal, which you will know.
तो ये आपने बुक में मेंशन किया हुआ, ये
सारे डिटेल हैं वहाँ
पे. अच्छा, वो भी आपको बताओ, जब अगर आपको आइडिया हो, जब इख्वान मुसलमीन का जब ब्रेकआउट हुआ और जब इख्वान क्रिएट हुआ, तो उसके बारे में भी कुछ आपने मेंशन किया बुक में?
थोड़ा बहुत है, बट वो आई वाज एक्चुअली, जब हम गए थे तो ये लोग भी इन्वॉल्व थे. वो कुकुपरे एंड ऑल दीस फेलोज वर इन्वॉल्वड इन, देयर वाज अ लॉट ऑफ फाइटिंग गोइंग ऑन एट दैट टाइम. एंड वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग बिकॉज द सीईओ ऑफ the RR battalion I was spending the afternoon with was a Rajput officer, Colonel Jamwal. मैंने बल्कि जब ये मेरे ऑटोबायोग्राफी लिखते तो you have to recount facts. So I rang him up, ऐसे से उस दिन हुआ क्या, तो वो कह रहे कि ऐसे ही was telling, we went over the whole thing, and he said, तुम्हारा तो दिमाग खराब था. तो हम वहां बैठ के विस्की पी रहे थे और वाइल्ड बोर पिकल खा रहे थे, अभी तक मुझे याद है. और हर एक वाइल्ड बोर पिकल का बाइट लेने के बाद कहते थे, देखो, आई विल नॉट लेट यू गो, तुम जाके मर जाओगे वहां पे, फिर मैं तुम्हारे बाप को क्या बोलूंगा. मैंने कहा, माय डैड विल नॉट आस्क यू फर्स्टली, सो यू डोंट हैव टू वरी अबाउट दैट. सेकेंडली, आई मेड अप माय माइंड टू गो. अब आप घड़ी घड़ी बात बोलो, मेरे को डर लगने लग जाएगा. तो रात को वो मेरे को छोड़ने गए उधर. The thing was, I was to be dropped at milestone 7 near a village called Sambal. It was minus 15 degrees. There was massive amount of snow. It was pitch dark. There was not even that ambient sound which exists. इन्होंने जब गाड़ी वहां रोकी तो उन्होंने कहा कि थोड़ा आगे गए, फिर एक बारी फिर सोच लो. मैंने कहा, सर मैं रह रहा हूँ, अब आप जाओ. और अंधेरे में सर माइलस्टोन 7 पे तो गाड़ी थोड़ी सी आगे गई, उन्होंने ब्रेक लाइट फिर से मारी, तो वो दैट रेड लाइट वाज ऑलमोस्ट ब्लाइंडिंग. देन ही रिवर्स्ड और मुझे एक पिस्तौल पकड़ा दी, कहा कि देखो, इफ यू गो डाउन फाइटिंग, और 2 मैगजीन्स दे दी साथ में. अब सर मेरे पास कैमरास भी है, फिरन पहना हुआ, और ये वो कब पिस्टल रखे तो कहाँ रखे, एज इट इज मैं हैवी गाय. So I took the pistol in my belt after making sure it's not loaded. I didn't want to shoot myself also. Yeah. अच्छा, अब वहां बैठा रहा वहां पे से 2-3 घंटे. जब वो थोड़ा सा डे लाइट होने लगी ना, अर्ली मॉर्निंग के पहले, जो डॉन के पहले जो लाइट आती है, आपको तो you guys are familiar with that. Somebody put a bag on my head. And एक ने इधर से, एक ने इधर से, they started frog marching me. पहले तो मैं गिन रहा था कि दाएं 25 स्टेप्स इधर उधर पर, वो 2 मिनट वो भी उड़ गया. बट आई सस्पेक्ट उसी एरिया में घुमा रहे थे, क्योंकि द साउंड नेवर चेंज. वो मुर्गियां वही बोल रही थी. फिर एक कमरे में गए, एंड वहां पे उनका जो लोकल आर्मी कमांडर था, ही हैड अ वेरी पॉकमार्क्ड फेस. उसको हुआ होगा दैट चिकन पॉक्स काइंड ऑफ थिंग.
चिकन पॉक्स तो निशान बन जाते थे पहले. हाँ.
तो ये आदमी वहां पे बैठा हुआ था, एंड पूरा कमरा भरा हुआ था विद ऑल दीज चैप्स, एवरीबडी विद दीज वेपन्स एंड ऑल दैट, एंड देयर वाज अ गर्ल सर्विंग अस टी. और मेरा कैमरा भी था, तो मैंने मैंने कहा कि एक पीर साहब थे जो इंटरप्रेटर थे, तो ये इनके आर्मी कमांडर थे। तो इनसे
हम्म,
जब मुलाकात हुई तो ये कहते हैं कि इनसे मिलिए। पहले तो सबसे मिलाया, फिर जब इनकी बारी आई, ये आखिरी थे, तो इनको कहते हैं कि इनसे मिलिए, ये यहाँ के लेफ्टिनेंट जनरल सो एंड सो हैं, यहाँ के लोकल आर्मी कमांडर हैं। और इन्होंने, अब आप ध्यान से सुनिए सर, इन्होंने 82 औरतों का बलात्कार किया है और 3 आर्मी के हेडशॉट किए हैं, लाइक सम सॉर्ट ऑफ अ कैबेज पैच,
सब, हाँ हाँ,
And I was like looking at this man and I said, "Can I film this?" And they said, "Please do." तो जब हम उसको फिल्म करने लगे तो वो साली पिस्तौल उठा के टड़क से वो कार्पेट पे गिर गई। और वो फिर पहना हुआ था, ग्रोप्ड अराउंड, पुट इट बैक, फिर से किसी तरह से, लकीली आई थॉट नोबडी नोटिस्ड। फिर एक और
हम्म,
बारी गिर गई सब पिस्तौल, तो 2 बारी मेरा बुरा हाल हो रहा था। तो
हम्म,
फिर ये जो सब हंसने लगे, कहते कुणाल साहब वो पिस्तौल निकाल के आप साइड में क्यों नहीं रख देते? So
हम्म।
I asked these guys, I said, "At what point did you know that I'm armed?" So they said, "We were watching you with image intensifier." जब आप वो कर्नल साहब छोड़ने गए, ये लेवल है सर उनका, उनकी उनका जो कम्युनिकेशन सेट्स वो फार मोर सुपीरियर।
मैंने तो उसके बाद बहुत ऑपरेट किया साउथ
आप
कश्मीर
लोग,
में,
दे यूज्ड टू
36
टॉक
आर में।
अबाउट,
आई हैव सीन द सोफिस्टिकेशन ऑफ द रेडियो इक्विपमेंट दे हैड एंड
दे यूज्ड टू टॉक अबाउट द साइकोलॉजिकल मेकअप ऑफ इंडिविजुअल सीओस। ये तो लेजी बंदा है, इसकी बटन 6 बजे के पहले नहीं निकलेगी, थिंग्स लाइक दैट। सो it was quite an experience, and let me tell you, it was something. So all that was filmed, sir. We brought it back, came back. We were lucky, we came back alive. That one very big thing. I've actually hidden inside, जैसे सद्दाम हुसैन को निकाला था,
हाँ
I've
हाँ।
hidden inside floorboards while the army has searched. And if the army had found us, they would have shot us outright. It would have been, कौन पूछेगा आपको उस टाइम की आप कौन?
सो
तो
सो नेचुरली इट इज फास्ट पेस्ड। अगर आपने ये सब चीजें
it is.
किताब में लिखी हैं तो और क्या है? ठीक है, हमने सियाचिन बात करी, कश्मीर की बात करी, इंसर्जेंसी की, इंदिरा गांधी के असैसिनेशन की। और क्या मैं चाहता हूँ जो बच्चे इस टेलीकास्ट को देखें?
We did a very important project, which is still continuing, because we are now working on value education. We are taking military history to schools. We're doing all kinds of things.
हम्म,
What I did was in 2008, sir, I decided that nobody knew anything about the Northeast.
हम्म,
It was a black hole. It was a blank. It was a blank map psychologically. Even my father, who had served in Tripura, had served in Sela, had served in Nathula. I used to ask him कि ये कौन सी tribes हैं क्या हैं? He was blank.
ये ना, ये आपकी बात सही है। हमने जब फौज में आए, मेरे फादर भी फौज में थे, इनको कुछ नहीं पता होता था। समवेयर वी
So,
हैड लॉस्ट दिस जनरेशन। ना वो ट्रैकिंग करते थे, ना ट्राइब्स की, ना लैंग्वेज, ना फ्लोरा, ना फौना। ये कमी आपने बहुत सही पकड़ी है। ये है कि हम नहीं पढ़ते, नहीं उस लोकल एरिया के बारे में।
so my own background of Tiger Tops now kicked in. I was very much into wildlife. I was very much into the flora. I was very much into people,
हम्म,
anthropology. So we started. हमने कहा कि हमने इसको करना है किसी तरह। पैसे वैसे थे नहीं, पर again serendipity, 6 degrees of separation. अब General VK Singh आ गए, army commander. He was from two Rajput. I didn't know him, sir, at that stage.
अच्छा।
I met him. He was a youngster. He used to sort of come to see. My dad was colonel of the regiment. उनको जो भी था. So actually, I didn't know VK very well at that stage. So I went to him. I said, "Sir, देखो, let's." And then Assam Rifles asked me to make a book. 3 Corps asked me to make a book. General Lumba was the corps commander. He came to me. He came all the way to Gurgaon. And he said, "Kunal, एक coffee table book बनानी है." मैंने कहा, "सर, मैंने नहीं बनानी." तो इसे, अरे मैं और कम ऑल द वे फ्रॉम नागालैंड, व्हाट डू यू मीन मैंने नहीं बनानी? मैंने कहा, सर बनाएंगे तो वही होगी, आपके कोर कमांडर, आपके आर्मी कमांडर, ये वो, आप पोस्ट आउट हो जाओगे, वो जाएगी कूड़े में। मैंने नहीं करनी। करनी है तो पीपल एंड एरिया पे करनी है तो बोलो। ही
वेरी
सेड
गुड।
ही सेड बट हाउ डज द आर्मी जस्टिफाई कॉस्ट? मैंने कहा, सर आप उसमें पे मत करो, आप सिर्फ अपने जो आपका बजट है, आप जो की छपानी है उसमें आर्मी तो आ जाएगी, बट लेट्स गो विद द पीपल। तो हमने 3 कोर पे पहले किताब बनाई। फिर असम राइफल्स गॉट वेरी इंटरेस्टेड, जनरल यादव वाज देयर। I told him the same thing. I said, "Sir, I will do the Assam Rifles book, but I will focus on the area, because nobody has actually done that. We'll have the book in 2 parts." These gentlemen had the vision. They said, "You do what you want." General
एब्सोल्युटली।
VK आ गए फिर sir. Then I met the 33 Corps commander, the 4 commander, the 3 Corps commander, and we said, "Look, let's make the Northeast trilogy." तो
तो
3
इसका
किताबें
मतलब,
निकाली।
मैं नहीं, इसका मतलब जिन्हों, एनी वन हु हैज इंटरेस्ट इन नॉर्थ ईस्ट मस्ट रीड योर बुक्स।
Oh yes, the Northeast trilogy is actually the first volume, covers Sikkim, North Bengal, Assam and Meghalaya.
वंडरफुल।
वॉल्यूम 2 लुक्स आफ्टर द, उस टाइम से सिर्फ 16 डिस्ट्रिक्ट होती थी, अब 25 या 30 हो गई हैं अरुणाचल में। we have covered the Assam Himalayas, starting from Tawang right up to Kibutu, and we've left nothing out.
Wow.
And then volume 3 is the Tirap Changlang district, the old formation. As I said, new ones have come.
Hmm.
Then you come to Nagaland, you come to Manipur, you come to Tripura, and you come to Mizoram. After that, the army gave me helicopter support. I mean, we were flying into every place, every village. Luckily, I had already done it on foot and on the ground. 5 साल लगे थे, sir, to shoot the Northeast trilogy.
Wow.
People have been very kind. They say that after Warrior Elvin, we are perhaps the only guys who've done this kind of work. Now, what happened?
इसको इतना क्यों नहीं इसको इतनी पब्लिसिटी मिली है इस चीज?
अरे काफी मिली थी सर. Actually, what happened
मिली थी
was
उस टाइम पे, but it should be continuous, ना? It should be
good. No, so we
promoted.
are now we are building up our entire value education program around the Northeast trilogy. अभी हमारा जो बन रहा है सर, उसमें हमारे ये 3 किताबें तो Northeast की हैं ही हैं. अभी आप जनरल पढ़ना एक day before yesterday, sir. I've just come from Nagar. We are taking all this forward. Then we have the 4th, 5th, 6th of the 12 books we are doing is Tamil Nadu, which we've already done. Karnataka and Kerala is half done. Then we have 4 books on Indian wildlife, sir.
Wonderful.
The first one is North and East. Second one is Central and West. Third is the Southern Peninsula. But the 4th is the most critical. It deals with your islands and your continental shelves. Now, who the hell has heard of the continental shelf? Nobody. Even people in Tamil Nadu who have the largest continental shelf. आपकी जो river drive हो रही है continental shelf में क्या हो रहा है? You know, so this is the children need to know this. Then we have the 11th volume, which is on the Trans-Himalayan region, and the 12th, you'll be very happy to know, is the illustrated military history of India, which goes from Ramayana right up till contemporary. अब वो एक वॉल्यूम में कैसे फिट होएगी, उसको 2 या 3 वॉल्यूम वो ही बन जाएगी. आइडिया है ये 12 किताबें वी आर ऑफरिंग इट टू स्कूल्स, institutions, colleges, as well as this thing. And we're saying, look, institutions sign up. We are in the process. 1 साल और लगेगा हमको. And a district like Erode in Tamil Nadu has already told us that we will become the pilot district because this is absolutely fantastic work. Abhi, I have just come back from. We are also developing a hub because the hub deals with how you use those books. So we are in talks with, I discussed this with the governor of Arunachal. He said, why don't you base it in Arunachal? I said, sir, मैं तो कहीं भी करने को तैयार हूँ. Because the idea is, this country, we need to अपने हाथों की हथेली में इसको, we have to treat it so precious.
बहुत जबरदस्त बात कही आपने. ये इतना खूबसूरत देश है, इतना सब है, लेकिन जो जिस तरीके की नॉलेज हमारी जनरेशन को और उसको तो थी नहीं, एटलीस्ट यंग जनरेशन को तो सहज के रखना चाहिए और पढ़ना चाहिए, इसके बारे में देखना चाहिए. दिस इज वंडरफुल.
मैं आपको एक चीज बताता हूँ सर. 2011 में आई वाज फ्लाइंग टू ले विद माय 2 daughters and the flight actually overflies Kulu where I am speaking to you right now. I live here now. तो हमारे को वैसे ही इंटरेस्ट है कि वो हमारा घर है ये वो, क्योंकि we can actually see it. If you can pick up the landmarks, you can see it. उसके बाद हमारा घर के बाद इमीडिएटली वो ब्यास के साथ साथ वो सीधा रोहतांग आता था, उसके बाद ग्लेशिएटेड रीजन शुरू हुआ. उस टाइम जब वी वर गोइंग टू फिल्म द फोटोग्राफ द लद्दाख फेस्टिवल, so half the guys in the aircraft were foreigners and half the people in the aircraft were Indians. When the glaciated region comes, ये हर एक लद्दाख फ्लाइट में होता है, सब अपने कैमरा देके एक खिड़की से दूसरी खिड़की में भाग रहे होते हैं. अब जितने भी हिंदुस्तानी हमारे भाई लोग थे वहां पे, सब कर रहे थे स्विट्जरलैंड स्विट्जरलैंड स्विट्जरलैंड, और जितने भी फॉरेनर्स थे कह रहे थे हिमालयस हिमालयस हिमालयस. आई थिंक दिस टेल्स यू एग्जैक्टली व्हाट आवर माइंडसेट इज. आई मीन यू आर लुकिंग एट योर ओन थिंग, आप स्विट्जरलैंड की बात कर रहे हो, So it is but sir, there's a tremendous change. Now the younger generation, I see them, sir, they're going on motorcycles, they're all over the place.
वो है एक जनरेशन, बट जो आर्मी की है, अनफॉर्चुनेटली, मैं जीओसी था सब एरिया का, पहला जीओसी था ले सब एरिया का, और मुझे पूरे वहां मैं 2 विंटर मैंने स्पेंड किए. सिर्फ मेरे हेडक्वार्टर के ऑफिसर्स हैं जिनको मैं जो मानते हैं आज भी कि सर आपने हमें दिखा दिया, नहीं हम तो कुछ नहीं देखते. लोग निकलते नहीं है बाहर. मैंने जो 2 चादर ट्रैक करी और आसपास जितना भी मैं चल सकता था पैदल पहाड़ों में, फिर WWF के साथ, फिर अपना उदिहार के साथ, मुझे समझ में आया कि वहां पर कितना जबरदस्त वहां पे फ्लोरा फौना है लद्दाख का, कितना खूबसूरत है.
हम कहते हैं बड़ा बेरन है. आप हर एक पत्थर को उठा के देखो, आपको कोई ना कोई फूल मिलेगा उसके नीचे,
जड़ी बूटियां, आप पौधों को स्मेल कर सकते हो.
सर वहां पे तो आई मीन लद्दाख इज Ladakh kya, sir, this is true for every part of the country.
Every part of country, every part of country.
We are so
और
rich in our in what we've got. लोग बोलते हैं, अभी मैं राजा जी था, मैं था सर, 4 दिन हुए. I had taken a friend of mine and gone for a drive into राजा जी. अब टाइगर नहीं दिखेगा तो आपकी सफारी यूजलेस है. अरे क्या बात कर रहे हो यार, हर एक पेड़, हर एक
हर पौधा, हर पत्ता जो है
I
कुछ ना कुछ कहानी कह रहा
mean,
है.
it is so beautiful. This is what Project Tiger taught us, that look, there is, this is, it's, don't get caught up only with the trappings in life. You know, you understand birds, for example. Now, one of the things I'm also doing is I've done a lot of bird paintings. I do a bit of painting myself. We are offering those paintings to schools. We're saying, भैया इनको लगाओ अपने कॉरिडोर में, सिखाओ तो सही. अगर नहीं आप सिखाओगे तो किसी की आंखें नहीं खुलेंगी. आप बोलेंगे कि हमको कोई मालूम ही नहीं. अरे आंख खोल के देखो खिड़की के बाहर, आपकी जिंदगी पूरी चेंज हो जाएगी. इट इज
तो
ऑल
ये
सेल्फ.
ना कहीं क्यों है हमारा, मतलब वो कोई फायदा नहीं उस पे लमेंट करने का हमारे एजुकेशन सिस्टम पे. बट यू एंड मी, स्पेशली पर्सन लाइक यू, योर इलस्ट्रियस, मतलब आपकी जिंदगी इतनी इंस्पायरिंग और रोमांटिक है. योर एडवेंचर्स एंड व्हाट ट्रैवल, योर लकी गाय. एटलीस्ट हम कुछ कहीं ना कहीं कुछ बच्चों के माइंड में तो अफेक्ट कर सकते हैं कि प्लीज रीड मॉडर्न इंडियन हिस्ट्री. मैं कहता हूं पिछले 50 से 75 साल, एंड सी द फ्लोरा एंड फॉना ऑफ योर कंट्री. मैं तो कहता हूँ दुबई की टिकट मत खरीदो, पहले नागालैंड, असम, मेघालय जाके देख लो.
वहां जा रहे हो आप, वहां पे कुछ देखने का, आई मीन, जो है वहां पे भी, बट इट इज नॉट अ पैच ऑन व्हाट वी हैव टू ऑफर.
फर्स्ट सी
बट
योर ओन कंट्री.
there's another angle, sir. Everybody, I also tend to talk about the army and my dad and all that. My mother was also a teacher. And she used to teach in St. Joseph's Academy in Dehradun. Then she was teaching in Kannur. Wherever dad went, she used to teach there. And one of the things through her, one began to understand that she was very quiet. My dad would be always saying, "Ye ped kya hai, ye kya hai, wo kya hai." But my mom would never get into that. But she always had a very pragmatic approach to education, and some of it, one was. So now I am also trying to bring all that together. हम अपनी तरफ से कोशिश कर रहे हैं सर, and we are again very lucky. We have people. I mean, I've just come back 2 days ago, and 2 days from now, day after tomorrow, I'm going down again. We have people, wonderful people with a lot of vision in this country. We keep telling them, sir, ये कर सकते हैं, अब आप बोलो करना है तो करेंगे. And so far, we've been getting the backing, sir. You've been part of our military history seminar in
No, no,
Vellum.
I'm looking forward to it.
You see exactly how it works, you know. It's
एंड द एनर्जी. और वो बच्चे मेरे से टच में अभी, कोई यूट्यूब पे, कोई इंस्टाग्राम पे, कोई मेरे टेलीग्राम पे, और मुझे मैसेज करते हैं, फोटो भेजते हैं, सर आई मेट यू इन द military history seminar in Doon School, and I want more schools to do this.
Vellum Boys, sir. The Doon School was part of
Vellum Boys, sorry, Vellum Boys School.
Now we are taking it to Assam Valley School also.
Oh, I would love to be part of any initiative where we can affect the minds of young people.
Sir, and I'll tell you the children, sir. So I realized this when I did the 62 book. Now that we're talking about it, I'm going to take 1 minute and tell you about this. 62 book mainly for my father. It's a book he should have written, actually. And it ruined my life. In the sense, I sit in and cry because it's a disaster of the worst type. I used to tell my wife, my kids, I said, "Kya kahan yaar?" You know, I'm likh raha hu, I'm putting my heart in this book, but I don't expect anybody to read it because, you know, victory, everybody wants to talk about, haan, pahad chad gaye. I go, who will read it? So when the book came out, I was amazed at the kind of reception it got. I got 5-page reviews in the week, Outlook, all kinds of things, you know. And I was myself a little surprised. Then I was asked to come and speak to Goenka schools in Gurgaon. And my reaction, there was a gentleman called Derek Mountford, a wonderful chap. He was in Assam Valley earlier. He was now the director of Goenka schools. He said, Kunal, come and speak to our children. Now, sir, with due respect, Goenka schools are, you know, Marwari schools. They are business oriented. Wonderful people. I didn't expect them to be on history. पूरा गोइका का जो 40-50 स्कूल है उनके एनसीआर में, वो उन्होंने सारे अपने क्लास 10 के जितने भी हिस्ट्री स्टूडेंट्स थे बस में डाल के वहां पहुंचा दिए. अब नाउ यू नो सर, व्हेन वी आर स्पीकिंग वी प्रेफर अ ऑडियंस ऑफ 100-200. उससे ज्यादा आपको नहीं चाहिए बिकॉज थोड़ा इम्पर्सनल सा हो जाता है. ये तो भरा हुआ था. देयर वर अबाउट 3000 चिल्ड्रन इन दैट हॉल. आई वाज टोल्ड, कुणाल, स्पीक फॉर 45 मिनट्स, हैव अ 15-minute Q&A बिकॉज बसेस को वापस जाना है. कोई सोनीपत से आया है, कोई उधर से आया, कोई नोएडा से आया, कोई So मैंने कहा ठीक है. So I am very time 45 minutes I finished. And I said, all right, now you want, we got 15 minutes for Q&A. There was one boy on a wheelchair, so he asked the first question. They were standing and asking that question. अब वो question क्या था मैं भूल गया. लेकिन उसने जो एफर्ट लगा खड़े होके जो बोला है, 1 घंटे हो गए वो जाने को बच्चे तैयार नहीं थे. उधर हमारी आंखें खुल गई कि हमने कहा कि look, the children are actually hungry for information. That is when we first went to Dehradun, and then we first spoke to the Doon School and Vellum Boys. And then Vellum Boys, we have a wonderful chairman there, a gentleman called Darshan Singh, whom you met.
Oh, I met him. I met Mr. Darshan Singh and the entire team of Vellum Boys School, the principal, the staff.
He said, "Tum karo. You do what?" And and then 2016, we came up with the concept. 2017, we did the first military history seminar. General V.K. Singh was the chief guest. Second year, we got in Air Marshal Philip Rajkumar, who built the Tejas. Third year, we had Nanda Karyappa, who's General Karyappa's son. Then we had General Ved Malik, and then we had, it has been going on and on. And we have 2 chief guests. Last year, we had the Chief Marshal Bhadoria at the opening and TNS Admiral Karambir at the closing. Yeah. What was more interesting was I got both of them on for a press conference with the students who were there.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, that kind of interaction, where the hell do you... And I also tell my chief guests and everybody, I say, "Sir, आप आ रहे हो, आपका first event है, कोई बात नहीं, आप please sit through all of them. Because children must interact with you."
No, वो तो आपका कॉन्सेप्ट मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा जो वेलम बॉय स्कूल में मैं फर्स्ट टाइम मैंने पार्टिसिपेट किया. बट मोर सच इवेंट्स एंड मोर पावर टू यू. यू शुड राइट मोर ऑफन. एंड मैं रिकमेंड करूंगा ऑल योर बुक्स. मैं तो हमेशा रिकमेंड करता हूं कि अगर आपने मिलिट्री हिस्ट्री पढ़नी है, सही तरीके से पढ़नी है, और यू वांट टू फॉर्म अप योर व्यूज ऑन हाउ इंडिया हैज प्रोग्रेस्ड, क्या क्या डार्क चैप्टर्स हमारे देश के इतिहास में, 84, 87, 1990, 92, बहुत कुछ है, ठीक है, बट वी हैव डन वेल. बट यू शुड नो योर कंट्री इनसाइड आउट, एंड फॉर दैट you need to read this book, and it's a pleasure for me to interact with you. और मतलब कितना कुछ आपके जहन में मैं बता नहीं सकता. whenever I met you, I've realized कि मुझे कुछ नहीं आता.
क्या बात कर रहे हो? Everybody has his own role to play. I've been fortunate. I've been blessed in certain ways, and this country is just too good a country for us to just let it go without a fight. We have to do our bit, sir. अब घोड़े को पानी तक तो हम ले जाएंगे, घसीट घुसूट के, उसके बाद पिए ना पिए वो उनके ऊपर है. But we have to motivate, and I believe the thirst and the hunger for information is there.
We have to tap it and give them the correct resource.
We are not giving it. We are not giving it. We say, अरे आजकल इनका इंटरेस्ट नहीं है, वो इंटरनेट जनरेशन है, ये. This is all rubbish. You see, the whole point is, when the moment linear formats, whereas the internet is a wonderful tool. The internet, it's fantastic because it's like having the world library at your fingertips. You need to know how to use it, and also more importantly, have the mental discipline, because it's not linear. आप थोड़ा सा इधर उधर निकल गए, आप भूल जाते हो आपका ओरिजिनल थिंग क्या था. So therefore, reading is something which is critical, it's vital, and we are working on value education on that.
No, I keep telling this. In fact, World Book Day, I said this: the only books are and not moving your feet, you can travel the world through books. So books पढ़ना तो especially books written by people alive. I've seen these places writing from their perspective, very very balanced. और एक और मैंने इंटरेस्टिंग चीज मैं आपका पढ़ रहा था, 1962 your father was a DS in IM में, है ना? He was a captain.
He was a platoon commander, sir. Yes, sir.
हाँ, he was a platoon commander in IM में. और father was a Havaldar instructor in weapon training wing in IM.
Really? How?
Really?
तो ये आपकी 6 degrees of separation हो गई ना, sir.
हाँ, तो 1962 में मेरे father, he was from Second Guards, retired as honorary captain, missed getting commission. Very very smart person for his age. Used good handwriting. He was an instructor in 62.
बाद में हुए होंगे, पर originally he was which regiment?
First Grenadiers, Second Guards. I am First Guard, Second Punjab.
Right.
तो ये दोनों traditional oldest units of Indian Army. my mother, I have lineage to both the units because father, grandfather are from two guards. I got commissioned to first guards. So my father was in 62. He was a Havaldar instructor, made Havaldar out of turn to be teaching cadets
At I.
in IMA. And then 65 he was sent to NDA. So 2 years he did in NDA. I started my schooling from that NDA children's school. मेरा पहली क्लास जब मैं गया LKG UKG जो भी था was in NDA. My father was an instructor, and then he was sent back to IMA again in 69 as a JCO now in weapon training wing in IMA.
I started my schooling in staff college. वहाँ पे एक येलो बैरक, अभी वहाँ उन्होंने एक उल्लू बना दिया है.
And staff college, I did my DSSC 52 in 96 and started his education. Then I went back to teach in staff college in 2007. And then I went to do second staff college in Bangladesh.
So there you have it. So it's such a, you know.
So कहीं ना कहीं certainly our parents have crossed paths, and we are lucky to. I'm lucky to be associated with you since last 2 years, and this is wonderful. So I'll recommend this book to everyone. And इसके बारे में
I'm also not saying it because I am the author, but I think the book needs to be read because once they pick it up, I think they'll have a completely different understanding of what this country is also all about.
Yes,
it's
absolutely.
not about my story.
It's not your story; it's story of our country.
Yeah, it is. I'm only the tool here, sir.
And someday, कुणाल जब फुर्सत मिलेगी हम लोगों को, मैं सिर्फ एक I don't know कब टाइम मिलेगा. I'm just throwing the idea. This can we do short this thing on say 84 and this separately? Just talk for 10 minutes only. वो 2-3 साल में क्या हुआ था, उसमें क्या हुआ था, so that जो पढ़ने में वो है उनको कम से कम विजुअल मीडियम से हम जो है कुछ दे सकते हैं जिससे कि they go back to reading. उसका interest.
Some of your students have questions. We can have a session and answer them. I have no problems doing that. I am available to you anytime, sir. So that is no.
Definitely.
I'd love to do it, sir, because I one thing I realized ki the more we put all this information out, the more, you see, this generation is fantastic. They have a level of understanding and things which हमारी generation में थी नहीं, sir. हमारे को तो ये we were like doodles in a pond in many ways. Now the point is too much information also is acting as a kind of a negative thing. So once they, one of the things they have to understand, and I've said this again and again and again, that we are talking Fortress India when we are talking national security. आप बाहर क्या देख रहे हो यार? यहाँ पे हर एक चीज है. आपके पास हर एक कुदरत ने आपको क्या नहीं दिया है, एंड आप पीपल आर वंडरफुल. आप नॉर्थ ईस्ट में जाइए, आप किसी के घर पे जाइए, वो आपको ऐसे मिलते हैं, ऐसे आपके दरवाजे खोलते हैं. आप साउथ इंडिया में जाइए, यू आर वेलकम एवरीवेयर. I don't know what divisions people talk about because I have never seen them. And maybe it's our outlook, you see, because we are grown up in the army. When I see an individual, I see an Indian, sir. I don't see a Hindu.
Exactly. मैं भी यही कहता हूँ, क्यों हमारे मन में किसी के लिए हेट है ही नहीं, इसलिए हम उन नजरों से देखते हैं. हम उन नजरों से देखते हैं.
आप जिस नजर से देखोगे वो भी आपको उसी नजर से देखेंगे. बड़ी सिंपल सी बात है सर. इस कंट्री में डिविजन्स के तो सवाल ही नहीं है सर. You should be proud of your regional identity, but the larger whole is what you have to work towards.
Absolutely.
Now for the military history thing that we are coming up with, I will have Sana ma'am, who's handling it, Sana Durrani. She will be writing to you to come to join us in October.
Definitely.
We would love to have you as one of the, just to be there and interact with all the.
No, wonderful. I will definitely be there. There's no doubt. I'm not going to miss this event again, because the positive energy that I saw, and that schools from all over India, Sainik schools, and in fact, I will ask military schools to take part. All 5 schools. I am a student of Rashtriya Military School, Bangalore. I will write to the principal, speak to them. If you send the invite, I will ask them to take part in this event.
Last year we had them mainly from Dehradun के आसपास, but
नहीं, सैनिक स्कूल भी थे कुछ बाहर से. सैनिक स्कूल के
5-6 जो थे वो दिल्ली और जैसे गोलपारा एंड इम्फाल एंड ऑल, ये अपना कोल्हापुर के पास Trivandrum, all these people. So and so it's a for a lot of children who are attending the military history seminars, it's a life-changing experience, you know.
Absolutely. And this time
They all
we
go
miss
back
shooting
sort
it.
of with-
This time we will prepare better and also shoot a movie on why military history should be studied.
No, you keep reporting from there. So we'll have you as our chief correspondent over there.
Yeah.
Your enthusiasm really helps. हमको भी it gives us a very major shot in the arm. It is always a
Definitely. चलो, thank you. बहुत मजा आया आपसे बात करके. And thank you so much. Keep writing and keep inspiring people like me and people who follow me also. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me on your show, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Jai Hind.